Good morning, this is Kris Shoemaker, also known as Yehudah ben Shomeyr, and you're listening to Coffee with Kris, the time of the day where we share a cup of coffee and share a bit of the Word of God. This is Thursday's portion, Thursday's Sidra Aliyah for the Torah portion of Korach, taken from Numbers chapter 17, verses 1 through 9. And so let's just go ahead and jump right in. It says, Adonai spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to Bnei Israel, the children of Israel, and get a rod. Basically, that is their patriarchal staff of rulership. They're their symbol of authority from each ancestral house, 12 staves in all. 12 staves for 12 tribes, right? From each prince according to its ancestral household. Write each man's name on his staff. Write Aaron's name on Levi's staff, for there is to be one staff for the prince of each tribe. Then you are to place them in the tent of meeting. The tent of meeting, that's the tabernacle. That's where the presence of God dwells among the people of Israel. Before the testimony, in other words, before the Ark of the Covenant, where I meet with you. I will come. See, and it's interesting that he tells Aaron to take all these staffs and put them in front of the Ark because he was the only one who was allowed to enter in there because he was the high priest. Moses couldn't even do it. It will come about that the staff of the man I choose will sprout. Okay, we're talking about a dead, dried staff here that's been severed from the root for probably a lifetime. You know, it's impossible, scientifically impossible by the laws of this world for a staff like that to sprout. But God says that's what's going to happen, and that's going to be the staff that sprouts is going to be the representation of the man that I chose to lead this people. I will then rid myself of the grumblings of Bnei Israel. In other words, I'm going to perform a miracle that will shut everybody up. You know, I have appointed Moses and Aaron, and I have proven time and time again that they are the leaders, but yet people keep rebelling. This is going to be the miracle that's going to top all miracles, that's going to shut everybody up, that can't be faked, that can't be taken any other way. And it says, I will rid myself of the grumblers of Bnei Israel who are grumbling against you. So Moses spoke to the children of Israel, and each prince gave up their staff, one for each prince according to their ancestral house, 12 staves in all, and Aaron's staff was among them, and Moses placed the staffs before Adonai in the tent of testimony. The next day, overnight, Moses entered the tent of testimony, and behold, Aaron's staff from the house of Levi had sprouted, blossomed, and produced almonds. You know, it might be a freak event that a little tiny sprout of a stick would come from the side, or so it's an anomaly. But to have leaves and to have buds and to have almonds all produced in one night, that is an impossibility. That's a miracle. Moses then brought out the staffs from Adonai's presence to all the children of Israel. They looked and took each man's staff. The only one that produced almonds that had carved into it the tribe of Levi and the name of Aaron, and that shut everybody up. And so here is the legend behind the ancestral staff of Levi, which was Moses' staff too. It is said that when Adam and Eve left the garden, that God permitted Adam to take a branch from the tree of life as his walking staff, as his patriarchal staff. That was passed down through the generations, made it through Abraham. Abraham had many sons. One of them was Midian, and somehow Midian ended up with this staff. He just placed it in the ground, and it stuck, kind of like the sword and the stone. And Moses finally came along after he left Egypt and left Cush and found his way to Midian, and he was the only one that was able to pluck this staff out of the ground. So Midian knew that that was properly his staff, and so that became Moses' staff that he parted the sea with, and all these miracles happened with. And so it is said that the tree of knowledge of good and evil is a fig tree, because Yeshua cursed a fig tree and it withered up, overnight. And the tree of life is said to be an almond tree, and that is why Aaron's rod produced almonds and it buds. So, don't worry about people or things or events that come against you when you're doing what you know God has called you to do. Don't worry about validation. No man needs to validate you, only God. He says, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord, I will repay. God will validate you. Miraculous and divine validating decisions. See, life to the chosen and death to the rejected. See the parallel here? Aaron and Moses were chosen to be the leaders. That's why their staffs became alive. The staff produced life. It produced almonds. So validation of God equals life. The rejection of God and rebellion against God equals death. These staves of the other tribes remained dead wooden sticks. They didn't produce anything. And so life equals validation, blessing, death. Something dead represents rejection. And so this was the divine miracle that occurred for Aaron's staff. So in your life, when you're looking for validation, don't seek validation of men. Seek validation of God and from God. And God will back you up if indeed He has called you to do what you have been called to do, what you have been doing in your life. Guys, thanks so much for listening. Go out there and have a great day. Shalom and God bless.